All right, we're going to wait for people to funnel back into here now. My apologies about that, but I think I figured out what I did wrong, fortunately, and hopefully I can avoid this in the future. Hopefully. I think I figured it out. I think. So, welcome back, everybody. Hopefully the mystery is solved. So what I think, so I have my mic and my webcam and all this stuff, except for the mouse, hooked up to one of those USB strip things. And I think when I move the computer or if I jostle the cable, it's going on 2 years old now, so maybe it's the connections, whatever. I mean, this room goes humid, dry, whatever. I think when I jostle the cable, even the slightest that connects that to the computer, again, something's up. It's either getting old or I'm just particularly aggressive, and that seems to stop the whole stream. So I need to avoid touching the USB stuff as much as possible, it seems, because I just jostled it. So I think that's what's doing it, because the second the stream cut out, I did that. So I need a pair of handcuffs for the stream so I don't go touching anything or moving anything. So, and yet somehow I did the auction in April, hours and hours, and we never froze the stream once. Very funny. Yeah, so, but anyways, so thank you everybody for immediately switching streams. Welcome back, everybody. Luch, I didn't see you at the other stream, so welcome to this one. Sucks. But, anyways, so splash on Facebook, as I was saying, because I posted some rare isopods for dirt cheap prices, and everybody was freaking out about it, and I proceeded to get a ton of emails about stuff, and I had to backtrack and say, this is not the permanent pricing. This is just like this special thing that I did because I was losing it, and I still needed to justify coming down here. So I brought a bunch of stuff for cheap that I knew would sell. So anyways, so that's that. And ruffled a couple feathers with people thinking they could just come and buy a bunch of isopods from me dirt cheap and presumably flip them or brag about it on Facebook, which really gets under my skin. So anyways, yeah, so that's fun. I like causing waves where I can. When I saw people complaining that they were too expensive, that's fascinating, because like the Expansus, maybe they were talking about the prices that other people were asking, because the Expansus Witch's Potion, which was the big draw, I had at 6 for $50 or 7 for $50, and Oren's been selling them for like $100 each or something like that. So, oh, hello, Anthony Green. Good to see you. So anyways, yeah, so I don't care. It can all burn down for all that I care. Speaking of isopods, I did get, as I can slowly accrue stuff as people get out of isopods or get stuff and decide they don't want it. I received one Cubaris species Happy Nun today, and they're okay looking. They look like the black Pak Chongs. So nothing exceptional, but something new to me. So there you go. In case anybody was wondering if anybody was going to have Happy Nun isopods available in the near future, I guess stay in touch, I suppose. I have on my list here Magnifica. I already talked about that, so we won't touch on that. So hello, everybody. Almost 20 viewers. Wonderful. And only 6 likes. If you could like, thank you. That would be great. If we get 10 likes, I'll show Bug. I have a special Bug here today. Come down to Kentucky. We have an expo Saturday. I can barely do the one expo a month that I currently do. Hello, Circa. Somebody asked what the material was on the underlay for the containers. It's muslin. It is muslin cloth. that I use. I've used frost cloth before, but it's not as good as a higher gauge of muslin. Luch Garden Sea Bugs. People complain about if you ship like that and whatnot. I had to tell some off. Yeah, that's how I sell at shows, because you see all these shows with a cup of dirt and then you can't find the isopods in it. You don't even know if it's a full count or what they look like. So I've been using plaster Paris, but I ran out of my special clear lid containers for this expo and I didn't have time. So I just said, oh, we'll just do paper towel, which, I mean, that's basically how I ship isopods too, but not just a flat piece. So like Spike, okay, 13 likes. I got a show bug. This was a special bug sent to me by a special friend. I'm not going to say that person's name because I don't want people antagonizing that person. If that person is watching and wants to claim ownership of these bug, you're more than welcome to. But I've been pestering this person for these bugs, and they sent them to me because they were a little short on an order I placed. So I'm glad. These are some of the best Porcelio Expansus orange I have seen, on par with the ones that I received at the beginning of the isopod craze when they were gaining popularity, and there were a lot of that one Spanish seller was advertising the oranges. And when I had received that stock, it was phenomenal and unlike any other orange stock I'd ever seen since until now. So this is going to be the founding pair for a breeding project here. Check that guy out. Look at that. Look at that nice, crisp orange. I think it can be upbred even. I got an itchy nose. And then check out this female here. There we go. Show that off. Look at this girl. Look at that lovely girl there. So I kind of hope they would be a smaller pair, so I'd for sure get a coupling of the two. But whatever. I'm sure that I'll get some good babies, even if they're just from females' influence. But this is how I remember the oranges coming in back in the day in 2017, 7 years ago, was like this nice full orange coloration here, and then really good size, which these look like they're going to have it. This is out of oranges. But we're gonna take this project. We're gonna upbreed those traits. Let's see. I'm gonna go up and say, you don't gotta explain yourself, man. The ones know you. Aquarimex says, I used your plaster Paris idea at my last expo. Loved it. That's good. The only problem I've had is people can't flip or tilt the cups, and I'm trying to think of a workaround for that. But, I mean, you don't really need to flip them over since they're all on top of it. So, Satchel says, okay, I pulled up the post. They called your prices insane. I assume that meant too expensive. I guess they meant cheap. Isopod prices are silly. Yeah, they really are on a lot of stuff. I got, TJ sent me some, this just shows how much I'm paying attention to stuff. Amber bee Marulanellas. And I think mine had babies. They're in a high vent setup with a lot of leaves, and they like to be up in the leaves. No bark, just up in the leaves. So I feel like that's another one that's on the verge of mass production pretty soon. Luch says, I got some fire P Expanses orange. You guys see mine, but those are fire too. There's some heavy potential with this stock here to get us back to that original phenotype. I was curious what people are thinking for a line name, because we already have the orange, but I want this to emphasize that this has been line bred. I was thinking orange, like spelled orange, but like orange, but with orin in it, since they come from his stock. But if anybody else has other good ideas, let me know. I would like to incorporate that. Alan says that paper towel looks familiar. Anthony Green says, yeah, even with low light, that orange is wow. Those are how they are supposed to be, man. I mean, most of the ones in my colony look pretty orange like that. So, says Alan. One of my favorite pods, says Luch. LC just with a wow. Hermex says, true, no tipping. I've been thinking of different isopod safe adhesive solutions. The problem is, again, you need something that connects two very different types of surfaces. I'm wondering if the the booger tape, which is what I'm using on the labels. Actually, it's that booger tape stuff. It's that like tacky stuff, and it comes off pretty easily, but it's really sticky. I'm wondering if maybe that could be used, but you'd have to pour the plaster Paris into the container and then remove it, put the booger thing down, and then put the plaster Paris back on top of it, which could work, I guess. Xavier Williams says, I thought it was Ember Bees. I like orange. Cringe orange. I don't mind that. Could be cringe orange. Alan, maybe you're onto something there. Kumquat. Yeah, I kind of like that. What's more orange than an orange? I don't want to go with citrus or something like that. I want something stronger. Alan, you may have good oranges, but the ones people post online are literally white with maybe some Cheeto dust on them. I'm curious. Let me look up Bercellio Expanses orange because also the power of green screen editing is amazing. Oh yeah, one of those, the ones that one of the males from before was very nice. It's a shame that I didn't get any going from that set that time. I think I kept them too dry. Yeah, these are, other than that one picture from Oren and maybe a couple of these foreign sites, I'd say these are among the best that I've seen. That first batch that came from the seller who's no longer around, Julio in Spain, was just something else. The size was the largest isopods I think I've ever seen. I don't think I've seen anything get bigger than that in my years frequently. Yeah, my hobby orange line looks pale compared to orange line. Papayas are orange, I think. Mango. Maybe mango burst. Something burst. I know it's kind of gimmicky, but it does separate it. Kumquat's the best name in orange. I was just talking to Oren. I'm about to grab some millipedes. Might have to add more expanse as well. P expanses orangerine. That kind of sounds dirty, but I like it. Call them naranja since they're from. Is it Naranja? Is that how you say it? Since they're from Spain, right? I like that. I kind of like that idea, Satchel. And I doubt there would be any confusion because there's very little flow of isopods from North America to Europe. It's mostly the other way around, as I understand it. So, anyways, that's this project. Don't worry, person who sent them to me. If you're in the chat right now, their permanent enclosures already made up. I just was going to put them into it and thought, this would be a good thing for Show Bug on the live stream, and it's looking like that was a good idea. So, Felix Francis Orang Mango. It's enough of a meme. That could be. You guys are really making me want some fruit juice. I'm definitely gonna go out and get some juice after we wrap up here today. It's like 90 degrees out. I had way too much caffeine yesterday or the day before. I like those the ice things, the like sparkling whatever with the green tea and the caffeine, and I hadn't had them in like a week. And then I like got them from Gordon Food Service, and then I had 4 of them. I was like, all right, this will last me 2 days. And then I just ended up no self-control, just blew through all 4 of them in one day, and it was nice, but it sucked. So I'll probably go to Walmart and get some of those crystal ice things and hopefully rehydrate. It's dry. It is so freaking dry out. I have to start like plant cuttings, and this is like we have the worst weather now, and then follow up next week. It's going to be like 100 here, keeping in pace with the pattern of our Junes being ridiculously hot the last 3 years. J sounds like an H here, so it is Narana. Alien tape may be able to pour over it and allow it to dry, says Laura Taylor. Worth a try to sand the bottom of the cups. So here's the other factor is I'm lazy, or maybe more, I'm overworked, and anything that's an extra step makes me not want to do it. It's another Naranga. All right. Yeah, no, I like that. So basically with the cups thing, it's like the more steps there are, the less I want to do it when it's just me. When I have an employee, it's a different story. House stuff, no updates. Actually, I'm going to, this is something I was going to do tomorrow, but I'm doing it now. I have not heard back from the township in 2 weeks. Hello, Joan. Are there any updates? Thank you. Kyle. All right, I've contacted the township again. It's been 2 weeks. There's only so much longer I can wait. My schedule just books up so quickly. I have a wedding for 4 days next week. The week after that's the last of the auction shipping. It's going to be hell, but I'll get through it. Can you get a sanding wheel for a drill? Well, no, it's like, it's not even like, oh, I don't want to have to sit there. It's more stuff to do. I have enough stuff to do. I spent the day before yesterday doing husbandry in here. That took a whole day. Then the day after that, I cleaned this room. It feels really nice in here. It's great. I cleaned this room, and it's 87 and 51% humidity. It's actually going down. It was 70% earlier today. I cleaned this room, and then I took a bunch of cultures of stuff that I was putting off, refreshing and redoing and blah, blah, blahing, and I redid all of those. And that took another day, basically. I have to sterilize substrate. I have to set everything up. Granted, it can last anywhere from 6 months to a year, but like that's chunks of time that I don't necessarily have when it's just me. So, thinking, okay, well, if I want to take isopods to the expo, I got to get the sanding wheel out. Then I got to get my special cups out, and then I got to sand them, and then I got to put the plaster Paris in them, and blah, blah, blah. It's just too much. It's more like, okay, I'm fine with make the plaster Paris, pour it in the cup, put the isopods in. Bam, done. Just more extra steps just is not good right now. Y'all may notice this is a little further over, actually. There was a big bin of some millipedes that the first project didn't prove out. The second project's kind of doing okay. I finally said, I want those out of here. They're just going to go in a smaller enclosure. And so now I've got a little bit more walking room in here. It feels a lot more comfortable. It's a nice, cozier vibe. I still got stuff I have to do in here. Those three tanks on the bottom there have been empty for a while. I'm basically just using them for the heat lamps to warm the stuff above them. But they're going to have some stuff in them pretty soon. But more projects coming in, more roaches coming in, some crazy stuff. Stuff that I consider crazy. I don't know how the world will see it at large, but I like the satchel rust. Definitely want it to be that one. Naranga. Yeah, I like that. Laura Taylor says, I understand the more stuff to do issue. There's always something I, me, myself, and I. Going to Puerto Rico Tuesday. Exotic Wilderness. Come on. Go look up some INAT records for Uricotis, for Euthlastoblata, for Hemiblabra. Go find us some Hemiblabra brunneri. If you find a functional group of Hemiblabra brunneri or Aspiducus, that'll pay for a chunk of your future college tuition. I say that, but also I'm not sure how much college tuition is nowadays. What is it, like $100,000 a year or something? I don't know, something stupid, absolutely stupid. Did someone say Euthlastoblata? Yes, Satchel, you've also got an assignment to find Euthlastoblata in the Gulf states. Anybody who's in Alabama or Florida, I've got a bounty out on the Euthlastoblata, the southern bell roaches. I lost my colony, and I won't do that again. So I need them again, and I've got a bounty, something, I think I said $400 to $700 for a dozen. Depends on how big they are and the sex ratios and stuff like that. But at least it's a minimum $400. So I pay $12K a year, but I'm in a small town college. Yes, that's definitely not the norm. I can say that much for the horned one. You can just ship stuff back from Puerto Rico. Surprisingly, I think it's harder to ship stuff back from Hawaii, which is interesting. Speaking of which, I need to talk to my Hawaiian contact about a couple things that I need. But I highly doubt you'll find any nifty roaches for sale in an exotic pet store, exotic wilderness. You will probably not find anything interesting in an exotic pet store. However, actually, exotic wilderness, I do have. I don't know how this would work. You might be able to bring it back like 100% over the table legally. I'm not sure 100% about it, but there are guinea pigs that are used for food in Central America. They're called cuy, and they're larger than standard U.S. pet guinea pigs. And I've been looking for them for a very long time. Again, they're very common food in Central American countries, and sometimes the food ones get mixed into the pet store stock, and they end up in pet stores. If you are able to legally bring back a group of cuy, 2 males and 3 females, I would pay you handsomely for that. Aquariumax says, I used to ship aquarium plants out of Hawaii, required USDA inspection at the airport every time. Yeah, so it's Hawaii is probably stricter than Puerto Rico, but just because of the sheer amount of dangerous bugs that they have there in terms of to agriculture elsewhere. Great job outing people to the gov, says Alan. I was just talking to my coworker about eating some of them. That this goes for anybody out there. If you're able to find cuy, I really want to work with them, and we can try and make something work cross country if you can just acquire them. So and alive. I don't know if I needed to be clear about this, but they need to be alive. Circa, it's cuy, CUY. It's supposed to be an onomatopoeia for the sound that guinea pigs make. And they're like the food grade giant guinea pigs, not the dwarf pet varieties that we have in the West. They're bred primarily for food, but they do, because they are guinea pigs, they do just end up at pet stores sometimes. I've heard of that happening in California and also in Florida, places that have large Latin American populations. So I do want them. They're supposed to be quite vicious, and I'd like to try and breed that out of them. Some people have tried, and some people say they're not as hardy as other guinea pigs and blah, blah, blah. I need a chance with them is the bottom line. So anybody out there, if you want to claim that, we'd have to discuss pricing and stuff, but bare minimum, the price that you pay for them plus however much it costs you to maintain them before you can get them to me, that's the absolute minimum you would be compensated. Anyway, so yeah, so that's the guinea pig projects. Speaking of turning feral things not feral, my agouti wild belly mice projects are all going really well. I brought a bunch of culls to the expo on Saturday, and one of the other vendors was, I think she was just trying to maybe not small talk, but just sort of talk to me a bit while we were both bored. It was a slow show, other than the isopods. And she was just sort of like, so like, what are you breeding these for? And I was just like, just so they look like wild mice, just so they look normal. And I think she was really expecting or hoping for me to say like more than that, and not just like, I just want them to look like mice. So yeah, exotic wilderness, it is a bit far. I will be making that drive every month though, if I live in Holly. It is a bit of a drive. I suppose if my parents still live in Dearborn, I can always drive to their place the night before, spend the night there, and then take off from there the following morning. They're doing an expo in Fenton too now. I'm interested in that, but only once I move out there. I'm very devoted to the Taylor show, especially after they gave me 2 tables, one of which I did not use, and my friend Mike had to use last weekend. Too much stuff going on in general. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on here. I'm happy to report back on stuff doing well in here. The last time I did husbandry in here was May 1st, I think. I am so behind on husbandry. Auction stuff has just consumed my life. And as much as I hate to say it, I think the fall Bugapalooza is going to be much smaller given the move and how much of an effect this last one had on everything. So the fall Bugapalooza is going to have probably, I'm going to limit myself to 200, 250 items, and it's going to be a very well curated list. You're going to see, as much as I want to put up, let's do an auction for 1,000 Paraplaneta Americana. I'm going to really curate that list down into the best stuff and probably do a lot of dollar starting bids. Probably restrict the days too. It's all stuff that I don't want to have to say. It does reduce some of the hype. Maybe it brings up the hype, but I'm not going to be able to spare that time this fall, especially if we do end up moving. We've got too much stuff going on, and I was concerned about losing some of my cultures. I still am concerned about losing some cultures from all the focus that I have. Geez, you plan to do another auction? Where you plan to go to Arizona, says Alan. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be another fall auction. It'll be in October, but the Arizona trip's going to be August. We're going to Arizona in August for sure. Circus says I need to be rich in the fall. I am down to the last 6.5 on paper, and then there's a couple of odds and ends ones that people caught up with me about needing to send. But it's just a lot of work for me. But I am always grateful for everybody powering this operation because it's only going to get crazier. The second I get another employee, things are going to kick into high gear again, especially after moving. I think by the time I'm 40, Roach Crossing has the potential to be something completely astounding, I think. So I was just telling Alan earlier, or who was I telling? Maybe Alan, I was talking to you about it. I don't know who I brought it up to. Oh, yeah, it was Alan. I was saying that you can make a strong argument right now, but in a couple of years, it'll almost certainly be true that roaches, as far as diversity of species and availability of species and strains, is probably, as far as single source stuff goes, probably number one out of all live animal hobbies in the United States. You can't find an isopod site that has 100 species and strains in stock 24/7, and that's just day in day out here at Roach Crossing. So you can go to fish suppliers and stuff, but a lot of those places they're not breeding stuff in their house. They're importing bulk from Florida fish farms in Southeast Asia and then reselling it. And, you just go down the list of everything else, even reptiles, maybe some snakes. Somebody's got a collection of over 100 species, locality, strains of stuff. I mean, maybe like B&B reptiles and whatnot, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if how much of their stuff is produced in-house, but, if you say, I want to get into roaches, and I want these 12 species of roaches are my top 12 list of stuff that I want. You can go to Roach Crossing and tick all those boxes off overnight. And that's not something you can do at a lot of places. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. And I want it to be even more than that in the future. And it's getting there. We got a lot of exciting things to look forward to. This damn township stuff is a huge roadblock. It is a Snorlax in the middle of Route 13 or whatever. I can't remember what route Snorlax is on in red, blue, and yellow. But it's just sitting there, and it's got to be moved if anything is going to happen. So, looking around at other stuff that's going on here, I was kindly gifted a restart of my Black Velvet Slugs. Any updates on Glomorous? Alan, I lost one Glomorous Pulchra. It made the whole molting chamber, etc., and appears to have just died in the chamber. And it was one of the bigger ones, too. I haven't had any other losses out of the group that you gave me. Would the township discussions be more productive if you went and talked to someone in person? Excellent point, Satchel. I'm waiting to get to the point where I can go in and talk to someone in person. That's what they wanted, was to arrange a meeting. I gave them 3 weeks out, 3 to 4 dates a week that I said, okay, I'm not doing anything any of these days. We can come in and talk anytime on these days. They did not get back to me. That's what I'm waiting to hear now. So if they want to ask more questions or figure out more stuff, we have to get that appointment to go in. So, Alan says that might be the one and only female. It might have been the second biggest one and not the biggest one, but it was not looking very favorable in there, unfortunately. Well, again, it's just that one. Everything else seems to be doing fine. A couple of losses on the Hoover, Alabama ones. Pill millipedes is just so obnoxious. I can't wait to have the conservatory and have a corner of it where I pile up leaves and throw down a bunch of lime and stuff and just toss some pill millipedes, and hopefully they propagate on their own there. I cannot wait. Steven asks, how's the new site coming? Chris and I had a work session last week where we tweaked the design. I was a pest about it, the layout, etc. And Chris has a working sort and search function, and it's working exactly as I wanted it to. It's pulling things up in the exact order, etc., that I want it to do. The only thing we have to get at is getting pictures associated with everything. So when you see it pull up all the names and whatnot, it pulls up the picture, a picture as well with them. But Chris brought up a good point. We can launch without the full search thing realized. We can launch with the basic search stuff of I want a non-flying, non-climbing purple roach. We can launch with just that and not all the super specific stuff. And then we can add the other stuff on in the future as updates, just so we can get the site up and going. It's gonna be a little bit before I have time to sit down and work on the flavor text. And there's a back part of my mind that's sort of saying, don't worry, Kyle. You don't have to do that now. You can do that during the winter when you're bored out of your mind. Don't worry about it. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I guess you're right. So as much as I don't want that to be true, flavor text might come in the future, and I will probably do something similar to how I've done in the last couple of years, where I say, hey, everybody, I need this much money to survive for a week, and I'm going to work on all this stuff during that time. If you guys want to donate to that cause, here's the donate button and stuff. But I think that the website, I mean, the way that Chris has configured things, basically the site is live. It's just contained within the old site. And some of the pages with updated like stuff like terms and conditions, using trying to think of the names, about us, stuff like that. He hasn't added that stuff to the site yet, so it still links to the old pages. But basically, the new site is kind of alive under that Kyle-test thing. It's on there. It's just not. We're still testing it. So it's technically up there. Are there any purple roaches in culture? Oh, yeah, there's plenty of purple roaches. I mean, there's Eurycotus floridana, which is like maroon, red, purple. The nymphs of Elatigina are purple. Gynus centurio's got a lot of purple on it. I can also go to my document and do a Control F for purple. Crap. Here's the problem is now I gotta scroll the purple, the notable adult colors all the way in a far column on the right, and then 26 columns to the left is the name of the roach. A couple of Aranavega I've noted as having purple adults, especially females. Kind of a liberal definition of purple. Well, here's the question. If it's not purple, what color is it? Is the question. Gyna bisanulatas, like purple gray, like a lavender, that's purple. Is kind of seeing weird colors on roach nymphs. Again, we got to ask, if it's not purple, what is it? What color would you call like Gyna bisanulata or Eurycotis floridana? You wouldn't call Eurycotis floridana red. There is red there. There's a good deal of red, but the adult, you wouldn't call them black either. These statements should not be taken out of context. So purple is kind of, it's kind of maroon or black for Florida. I wouldn't. Black is species marathon key for sure. Is black, reddish brown. Let me pull up. I'm gonna pull up Eurycotis floridana. It's more like a deep eggplant purple or something like that. I would definitely not call Eurycotis floridana black. Again, when you put it next to something that is black, like Marathon Key or Paraplaneta americana black or Venom, it's very obvious they're not that. And this is the adult color too. There's plenty of nymphs that are brown. It's like a deep maroon, maybe like a deep, you could argue oxblood in purple maybe. Oxblood is a perfect color to describe like Groundford Rhino oblongonota. That's just like the perfect color to describe the adults. I've yet to see purple Eurycotis floridana nymphs. Yeah, I would say they start off reddish brown and then they progress to red and then they end up like maroon purple. More red than purple. Made it while at work. Howdy. Hello, Duke and Enzo. Welcome. I want P. Americana Venom, but genuinely afraid they'll potentially infest my room with how warm it is. It's not really a function of how warm it is. It's more humidity. It's a dark red. There's no blue in the color. Another thing I try to do is I'll capture colors off of something and run it through a color wheel and then back process it to get the name or the similar colors. So that's another way to determine things more objectively. Dark red for the Eurycotis or dark red for the oblongonota. I again, if you look at like Gyna bisanulata, gray, lavender, maybe even lilac. Those are different types of purple. The problem with the verbiage, though, also is we're not going to have a billion categories for color. I think we've got like 10 categories for primary notable color. So we can't really split hairs. If it's lavender, it's going to be purple. If it's oxblood, it's going to be red, etc. Maybe one day in the distant future. What? Sorry, I'm not reacting to anything in chat, guys. The purple guy. I just got an email from somebody I have not heard from in at least 6 years, maybe more than that. Maybe even more than that. Double D's from doubleD's.org. Don't just type in double D's in Google. DoubleD's.org, one of the ancient guard roach keepers, sent me an email. Wait, he ain't dead, says Alan. Dexter is still around, says Satchel. The name associated with, I'm not going to dox or give any information, but the name associated with the email is I don't even recognize this name, but in the message body they're saying it's double D's. So oh wait, never mind, I misread. It's sorry everybody, I misread. I misread. I retract my enthusiasm. It's somebody by the name of Double Z's. Not to be confused with Double D's. It is Double Z's. So my apologies for throttling the hype train only to slam the brakes on for double Z's. That would be getting an email from Double D's is like on par with getting an email from Matt K. Who's still around? Graham was it Graham Smith? Graham Smith, I think his name is. Has the iconic Patchy the Pirate avatar on Roach Forum. Graham, I think he does message me a couple times every 1 to 2 years. Matt K, I haven't heard from in over at least a decade, at least. Who's another person? Or the iconic Roachman Willis, who I've never actually communicated with. Lot of old guard folks. Bob LeCatering, Bob, another old guard Roach person who is now back into things. So I feel like I saw a condolence post on Roach. No, did he die? The last time I talked to Dexter, he went to get some sort of like waste sanitation degree thing and was graduating. And I know that he supposedly had cancer, but I didn't know that he had passed. What you talking about, Willis? Does anyone know if the dude behind Cape Cod Roaches is still a thing? I've been waiting to hear from him. I actually owe him some stuff, and I've sent him a couple of texts, and I haven't gotten a response. It's not my place to bring up hearsay or whatever, but I'm told that Satchel may have put the pieces together of what may be going on with Cape Cod Roaches. So maybe do or don't pester him about stuff. Sorry, Satchel, to put you under fire, but you were the other contact point for Cape Cod Roaches for me. So yeah, we a lot of stuff going on. We got a good stream going here. 40 minutes, 16 viewers, 19 likes. Let's try and get it to 20. Maybe I'll find another bug to show. Kyle, my like Hercule something. Is that a moth? I feel like somebody else mentioned that Latin name today. Oh. Ooh. I like that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. That looks like Peruphasma nisomorpha care, husbandry, coolness. Keep me in touch about those. I'm interested, Jordan. I'm very interested. That being said, I don't know what I did, but I killed my Megaphasma. I think the air humidity in here got too high, and I wasn't changing out the branches enough, but they were fresh still. Something. I lost my batch for this year. I was using the exact same two individual red cedar plants that I've been using the whole time I've been raising them. So it's not, it's herbicide or pesticide or something. It's something that I didn't know changed in this room. Again, could have been humidity or something. However, fortunately, I was reading Satchel's comment, which I will read aloud in a second here. Fortunately, I got about 25 eggs out of the group before they all decided to keel over. So, and I'm still in contact with the person who originally collected the strain. So I'm really hoping that we're getting some trial by fire going on here, albeit at a very slow pace, where I'm gradually making some indestructible Megaphasma out of this strain. So we're going to see, but they thrived all winter. All this airflow, the dry air, the fresh things of cedar in the dead of winter, thriving, growing like weeds, doing phenomenal. And then right around April-ish, they started to not do so well, and that's when, again, the humidity goes up and the airflow should have been about the same. But I notice it with my Drosophila melanogaster cultures too. Again, some may say, my inbreeding, but those melanogaster have been inbreeding since 2020 or 2021. Russ, whenever I mentioned that I started inbreeding fruit flies, that same line has been going since then. Never added to it, doing fine. But in the summer, it gets so humid in here and there's less airflow. The furnace isn't on, blah, blah, blah. That melanogaster likes good airflow and lower air humidity. So all winter, they do perfect in here. But in the summer, they need more air movement. So what I've started doing is I have my Thamnophis tortalis infernalis California red-sided garter snake tank in the living room, and there's a lot more airflow in there. I keep the living room windows open all the time. There's the AC that comes on. The vents aren't blocked up. So I just put my melanogaster in the living room during the summertime now, and they're doing great. Perfect. No issues with the cultures, molding, etc. They're very productive. It's the airflow and probably the humidity of the air. And at the same time, Haidai and Bazadii like it more humid, so they thrive in here during the winter time and during the summertime. And then during the winter time, I just put the melanogaster cups on top of them, and it helps to keep the humidity in a little bit. Satchel on the Cape Cod roaches situation. Yeah, I tried to text Cape Cod at his personal call number multiple times and couldn't get a response. So there's something going on. We don't know what. Maybe he'll pop up in a couple of years or something, and I'll have to send him the stuff that I owe him. But Cape Cod roaches, if you're watching this live stream or you end up watching it, I have it written down what I owe you so you can claim that whenever you come back if you do. Would you ever keep tokay geckos? I had some captive bred tokays. I love them. I'm not in a position to keep tokays at the moment because if I keep them, I want to breed them, and I'm going to want to give them the fixins and the works so that they actually breed. So that's and if I did do that, I would devote that time and resources to green-eyed tokays if I had the opportunity to, because they're less common. I think they're very cool. Inbreeding, melanogaster, blah, blah, blah. What else? Anyway, so the megaphasma, unfortunately, have kicked the bucket. I have my 25-ish eggs, and I think I'm okay. Of course, it's going to be another 6 months until the eggs hatch, and I'll just set them up like I did before then. And maybe if I moved and it gets too humid during the summer or something, I'll toss them outside where there's more airflow, or I'll stick a fan on them or something. I don't know. It may also be whatever spores, although I have a few from Petco and a few Armenian crawlers in the same kind of enclosure next to each other and sub from the same banana. One molded and got juicy, and the Armenian crawler one's banana did very well. Interesting. Hi, Shane. Welcome. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, and we are more than our genetics. We're a lot of our genetics. And environmental stuff can have a very traumatic and very impactful effect on stuff, as evidenced by me killing my giant regular lobster roaches by stressing them too much, and I couldn't pull them out of the spiral. That happens. But you are an ecosystem. Roaches and bugs are ecosystems, and their endosymbionts and the things that live in their guts and the health of those things greatly affect how they do. And so I'm wondering if your Armenian crawlers are juiced up on all whatever they've gotten from feeding on the diet that I give them, and that's why they're doing better than your Petco ones, which may have different flora and fauna from a different diet, and they're not as adapted to whatever medium you're keeping them on now. No mold, it just settled. What does that mean? Exotic Williams says, what's the care like for Rhyprobra Materi? Are they easy, guys? Not as easy as CF Capiloi. My Materi have kind of been going up and down over the last couple of years. Brandon Main sent me a couple males to save the colony in like 2021, maybe 2020. I think it was 2020. And I haven't had to add more since then. But right now they're kind of not doing the best. But they like high air humidity but high ventilation. And if it's too dry, they don't do well, and if it's too humid without ventilation, they don't do well either. They're not difficult. Just again, right now, mine have kind of swung down in production. Capiloi are going crazy though. I don't know what got into those, but they're doing so well. Luch says, is it illegal to ship inverts to Puerto Rico? Just wondering about what you were talking about before. I just realized I wasn't live because it's a state but not a state. So again, it's technically illegal to ship a lot of things without proper permits across state lines. And to get to Puerto Rico, you kind of have to cross some state lines with a box. So technically, yes. At the same time, again, and that's just how it is with a lot of things, except all the roaches they delisted and stuff. And at the same time, I have sent boxes to Puerto Rico without issues that have been labeled live feeder insects and have not had problems. It kind of fermented. Okay. Kind of fermented. Yeah, the banana in may have contributed some yeast to the situation, which the fruit fly larvae would really like. Lucy, we were talking about shipping them to the U.S. from there. Again, it is part of the U.S. and so there are some people in this very chat who have shipped things from Puerto Rico to the U.S. without issues. I think things have maybe changed a bit since my associate Mike was talking about people bringing bagfuls of plants from Puerto Rico to the mainland. I think maybe things have changed a bit since then, but and that was legally too, like going right through customs. But I don't know. If I wanted to try and be a good boy while also fulfilling my carnal desires for bugs, I would simply ship a box of USPS stuff to the States from Puerto Rico if I was there, and I would pack it on all paper towel with no soil and no any of that stuff. Smelled very sour, but no mold. Congratulations, you made sourdough culture, but in fruit flies. So that means you got some good activity going on there. That's good for the fruit fly larvae. Alan says, I just realized I could pester you to collect some portulaca in Arizona. Yes, you could do that. We're gonna try. I'm trying. This is not a business trip first and foremost. This is Angela and I getting away from things. Getting to see Kim in the wild in his home while we still can. He is getting up there in age. And also just to have a good time and spend time together and see some cool bugs and stuff and round off some things, going to Pina Blanca and grabbing those Aranavega CF Grata that everybody seems to not be doing well with. Just a little bit of like that stuff, not too hardcore. Paraplaneta Brunea, you sent me a really beginning to thrive. Yeah, Jordan, Paraplaneta Brunea, very high humidity. You can even have low ventilation, not too low because you don't want them to run out of oxygen and things to go anoxic in there. But you can probably keep them close to dripping wet and they'll be fine like that. But if there's any roach that I've seen that I could point at and say, oh yeah, they're protein hungry, it's Paraplaneta Brunea. Shoving handfuls of dog food in that culture is barely enough to satisfy them. And there are very few other roaches who will always choose dog food over fruits or sugary things. Nymphs are more likely to choose dog food. Sometimes blabberists are like that. If the whole colony is hungry, it's just kind of whatever's in front of them they go after. But the Brunea will ignore apple completely and just go for dog food. And they seem to have a pretty high metabolism. So don't let it run out because then you start to get some crashes. Exotic Williams says, what's the care like for Diploptera punctata? Can't find much for care on them. Let's take a look at one of my Diploptera colonies. Diploptera is a genus I really hope we get more species of because they're very easy to take care of. Once you have them figured out. Basically, high ventilation and ignore the fruit flies or a couple of forward flies that are in there. It did get a little too dry in here. We did have a couple of deaths, but is that somebody smushed behind the apple? That looks like an adult male smushed behind the apple. Very flattering. Anyways, so we have the back of the culture, which is very moist right now. Not wanting to focus either. Maybe if I go from this side. You can see there's a gradient here. Pine cones for harborage. And you can see at the front here, it's dry. It's fully top ventilated. Ignore the strain name. These are actually UCR. They just went to Auburn in the interim. They ultimately come from UCR. So, but Diploptera can be a pest in Hawaii in some conditions. They strip the bark off of like some thin trees, I guess, when it's very dry. But again, generally a dryness adapted species or ventilation adapted species. Lots of good airflow for these guys. If you don't have that, they're not going to do so very well. Jordan just saying about the dog food for the Paraplaneta brunea. Yeah, pretty easy species if you set them up correctly. Again, it's the ventilation 100%. I remember at my parents' house, wintertime, lower ventilation, they thrive because it was so dry, so drafty, blah, blah, blah. Kyle and his drafting this stuff, whatever. And then summer came around. It was like, why are these dying? I'm feeding them and they were happy and blah, blah, blah. And it was 100% because the airflow went down and the air got more humid. There wasn't enough ventilation. They were succumbing to fungal issues and whatnot back in the day. So now I don't really have that issue. I don't have that issue with them. So anything else we could look at? I don't want to pass it. Would look at my white tiger isopods, but I don't know if I want to bother them. Slowly but surely, from a single pair, because Alan sent me a female for my lonely male, my last male. Slowly but surely, from one pair, building up to a big old colony. I think we're up to about 40 or 50 now. So I'm happy, very happy about that. We're clawing our way out of the depths of despair there, as mankind is wont to do. So anybody have any questions? I think I'm going to wrap the stream up pretty soon because I'm getting thirsty. I probably run up to any new Roach editions. Yes, as of today, as of this week, new Roach editions are Decaralampra fulgencio, which I failed with twice. We seem to have discovered that the key is stupidly high humidity. The Philippines is a stupidly high humid place, and to the point where in the winter I will be putting some plastic wrap over the top of this enclosure, so as to maintain as much of the humidity in the enclosure as possible. Right now, it's pretty humid in here. They should be fine. Stuff that likes jungle level humidity is good through the summer in the office. But Decaralampra, that was a junior who succeeded with those and is having abundant success. And I'm hoping that they will stick around for a long time because they're a very cute little roach. They're very, very cute little roach. And they may be, with their humidity needs met, may be extremely prolific and maybe even like to eat mostly leaf litter, which is very cool. Always nice when you have roaches that want to eat mostly leaves or wood. How are your vampire roaches doing? Phenomenal. I have 2 cultures of them going now. Both cultures are doing absolutely wonderful. They don't seem to mind the humidity with their ventilation level, and they didn't seem to mind the dryness of the winter either with the daily misting. So my Thorax porcellana are doing phenomenal, and they'll probably be listed as an intermediate species just because of the ventilation and not being able to be kept on dry egg cartons and stuff like that. Amazing, incredible. Till they're more available. I mean, they're very available now. If you want some, you can get some. It'll be nice when more people have their hands on them and can appreciate them. It's nice getting all these roaches with parental care going on. We got Salgania going around now. They got the Pseudoglomerus magnifica. We got the thorax. I'm hoping there's a roach genus forceps. It's from India. I don't have the most faith that we'll ever get them in culture, but they've got these huge, like gnarly, like devil horns on their pronotum, and they're probably pretty easy to keep. I think they're probably just like Panacea care or something. But that would be very cool if we ever do get our hands on that. That's another one that has some good parental care going on. So, any other questions, thoughts, or concerns? We got a nice, cool breeze coming in right now. That's going to drop the humidity in here, unless we get rain, but it's unlikely we don't get rain. Are you selling Periplaneta americana, Pearl Harbor? Yes, they're going up for grabs on the site. They are for sale. There's plenty of them available. Chain says it's too hot. Jordan, you're giving me flashbacks from the auction of the emojis. Big concern. Yeah, it's going to be stupid hot next week. It's going to be insane. I had one last story that I almost forgot. It's non-bug related, but if nobody else has any questions or anything, I'll get into that story really quick. Satchel asked about the Periplaneta americana escape cleanup going. They're still saying pretty concentrated around where I spilled them, like they're living up and under some like isopod containers. But the loose house geckos combined with the house spiders, and then coupled with, I think Blue might be hunting them just for sport. I haven't noticed a lot of them running around like they were a couple of days post-release. So still gonna take some hardcore actions on the basement before we sell the house. Mostly sticky traps, I think, baited sticky traps. But I'm not as concerned as I was. Most concern I have is them finding their way into other bins, especially my other Americana cultures, although those are pretty well contained because they're either other hexagonals or they're like gasketed or like gasketed or gasket and fabric layer underneath. So it's not too well. Exactly. Question. Final question for me: how are your Hermetica stromosa doing well? How are your Hermetica stromosa doing well? Yes, both my stromosa and my species Columbia are doing well. I have babies from both of them. High humidity. So I would go on and on about ventilation, blah, blah, blah. But for some of these South American species and Southeast Asian species, they want that stupid high humidity. And that's what I'm giving them, and it's going well. So I expect both Hermetica to be more readily available in the future moving forward. Also on the note, speaking of Central South American species, another roach that came in this week was another species I had brief success with and then failed with, Hyporhynchota. This is Hyporhynchota litomorpha, I believe. I don't know if I've knowingly had the species before. Maybe one of the species I had before. I had Reflexa, then an unidentified species, but the Reflexa might not have been properly identified. So I've got a second chance, third or fourth chance, third chance, I think, with Hyporhynchota now. And I think the solution is, yet again, high humidity, lower ventilation, at least during the winter time, fine with the current humidity and whatnot, summertime. So we'll see how that goes. There aren't any adult females in the mix. I think there's one or two subadult females in there. So it's possible by the end of the summer I could be getting some reproduction going on. It'd be nice. So big W's for roaches all around. We're going to ignore that I'm down to like 7 or 8 Corson or a Paraschi. We're going to forget about that. That's pretty typical for this time of year. They're definitely more of a dry air, high ventilation species for sure. So, and more exciting roaches on the horizon. Some projects that I will not speak about until they're good and established, because I don't want to get people too excited or misled or something like that. So my last story before I take off, probably to Walmart or the 7-Eleven to get some. Oh, I need some hydration. So my neighbor Joe is beginning to walk a different path in life, and his his chicken coop has been invaded by raccoons as of a week ago, and he lost 2 or 3 birds, or he lost 2 birds and then had an attack on another bird. So he's decided to rehome his chickens and to cease keeping chickens, which is unfortunate. But so one of his chickens, Tunit, is a cross between a Sarama and a Brahma, or not Sarama, sorry, Seabright, very close in size, and a Brahma. If you're familiar with those 2 breeds of chickens, the Seabright chicken is about the size of an American robin on steroids, or perhaps maybe a small crow. And the Brahma is one of the largest chicken breeds. So we had some forbidden love going on, some unfathomably forbidden love that produced Tunit, she's a very beautiful looking bird, and I kind of want to think I could see myself trying to develop sort of a body standard and a breed based on these colors and whatnot. So I was like, I would like to have her back, Joe, before you get rid of the chickens, and he gave her to me graciously. I was very thankful. So I added her to the birds without much of a second thought. I put her right on. It was night. I put her right on the roost with the other chickens, and the next day I only do like heavy outdoor farm work every other day. Otherwise, it's just too much, and that's all I really need. All my animals have a lot of space and abundant food and water, so I don't have to really refresh things except every other day. So today was the other day, and I opened the gate to the run, and that lets the dogs in and lets the birds come out and kick dirt around, scratch, and eat a little bit before I, go in, and then I put them away because Nazig is not fully trained with the chickens yet. Victor's not really fully trained with the chickens yet. He's almost there. I almost comfortable just leaving everything completely open. I think once we move, we'll get there very quickly. But I'm not 100% sure on Nazig with the chickens yet, and Victor's fine with the ducks, but it's the chickens that can do some things that can trigger him to want to chase stuff. But he's been really good. The last 3 weeks, perfect. We've done this song and dance every other day. Dogs are great, birds are great, etc. So now there's a weird bird in with the other chickens, and I'm off doing my work or whatever, and Victor knew that this bird, that he did not know this bird, and so I heard the squawking, etc., and I find him with the new chicken with a bunch of feathers pulled out and cornered in the corner of the yard. I had to swipe it away from me. No, this is a friend chicken. No, don't you dare, etc. He's very responsive to that, but he's very neurotic, and once he gets in that headspace of wanting to chase something, it takes a little while to wind him out of it and get him to think, oh, I don't chase this thing, this is a friend. So it's going to be probably a week or 2 of work getting him used to the new chicken and not thinking that, oh, this is some weird thing that just popped up that I can eat, or, oh, it's something that's terrorizing the other birds, I should kill it. I don't think it's that one, though. I think because he doesn't know it, he sees it as prey, and I should have done a better job at introducing both the dogs to the new bird. But it blew my mind that he was observant enough to know that even though there's 40 or 50 birds in that run, that, oh, this one's new and it smells different. I know I'm surrounded by chicken and duck and muscovy and quail and all these other smells 24/7, but this one thing smells very different than this other thing that smells very similar. And it was impressive, but also it was like, oh my gosh, I wish that I had taken a bit more time with this, but we'll get there. It'll be fine in a couple of weeks. So, but it was just fascinating. Again, they have this very astute ability to pick up on things that don't belong or that are not typical, and they like to deal with the problem or there's a switch. Another example of this was last week we've been putting Nazig with the goats in my neighbor's yard to graze all day, to browse all day, and just leaving her alone back there all day with the baby goats, and she's great with them. She follows them around. She protects them from the neighbor behind comes out. She'll bark at the neighbor until I come, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this is the neighbor, you know her, and then everybody's fine and good. She's very protective, wonderful with them, perfect livestock guardian dog with the goats. So we have Baloo the cat, who's indoor outdoor and does the pest control here of chipmunks and young rats and mice and whatever else is around. And so Nazig and Victor know Baloo because he grew up here and they're good friends with them. They lick his ears and everybody's all nice. They lay on the kitchen floor together. They lay on the patio together, lay outside together, all the stuff. So when we were in my neighbor's yard and Baloo hopped over the fence to come say hi, Nazig did not recognize him at first. He came from a different side of the yard than he usually does. And she ran up to him just lightning fast and went to put her mouth on to go for the kill, to go right for the neck. And the second she put her nose on him, she realized, oh, this is my friend, and just stopped. Just like a split second away from anything bad happening, just immediately recognized, oh, this is my friend, and just left him alone. And Baloo was a little shook up, but what are you going to do? So it's just amazing. Like they have that control, and it's based on whether or not they're familiar with something, if they know something or not, because they would not be that kind to a random cat. My neighbor Scott has a cat, indoor, outdoor, and he puts her in for the day when I leave Nazig out there, because Nazig chases her and Baloo chases her, cats. But anyways, so his cat is very fearful of dogs. Would take way too much work to socialize the cat with the dogs, etc. It's just too old. I'm not going to be here that much longer, etc. So my dogs don't know the cat, and Nazig definitely sees it 100% as an intruder and would finish the job if she got her mitts on it. So it's just the difference of them being acquainted with things. It's a world of a difference. So which is great for me, because in the future I can't wait to have the big barnyard with all these different animals and the dogs there, and not fear hawks or raccoons or coyotes or the neighborhood feral dogs, or fear anything getting at stuff, because the dogs will be there to take care of it, and it's a great peace of mind. So brilliant animals. It is really crazy. And when I would never have expected so much out of them when they were puppies, because Victor would chase the chickens. He was always great with the rabbits. He always had a knack with the rabbits. But the problem with the puppies is they want to play. They don't always want to eat things. They want to play with things. And when they have any sort of attachment to anything, with humans, with the rabbits, with the chickens, with whatever, they want to play with them. They want to bite and jump on and pounce and chase and bark at and all that stuff, which you can't do. A dog cannot do those things with a rabbit or with a chicken. And if you let it go on too long, they realize, once they get a taste for things, which starts as just innocent play, they realize, oh, this tastes kind of good. Oh, I can eat this. It's not, this thing isn't barking at me. It's not play bowing at me. It's not rolling over. It's not wagging a tail. It doesn't smell like these other things that smell like me. And they start to develop this idea for it being something edible and not something that they're supposed to protect or be on good terms with. So you got to watch that with the puppies. But Nazig went through heat, and Victor raised Nazig, and those life experiences, I think, just completely changed both of them. Nazig, after she went through heat, she is a completely different dog. Some of you probably remember me over the last year sitting here and being like, Nazig, oh my God, that dog, guys, she's so much, I can't deal with this. You probably remember me doing that. And now she is a little angel. She is not rambunctious. She's not destructive. She's not hyperactive or anything. She's so calm, even keel, confident, respectful to the animals and stuff. It's a completely different dog. Like what happened? That the surge of estrogen and what is it, lutein or whatever during the heat cycle must have been ridiculous on her brain. She's a completely different dog now. It's insane. And then with Victor, getting the humping out, getting the playing out, getting the biting and the jumping and the running and the socializing and the butt sniffing and the crotch sniffing, getting all that stuff out has just mellowed him out completely. And they're both intact. Both the dogs are intact. He's just completely mellow now. It's incredible what that stimulation over just a month for Nazi or that experience over a month for her of going through heat, and then over a year for him of having a puppy to deal with. It's amazing. They're completely different dogs now, and I am so trusting of them with the livestock now. It's nuts. We're not here with Nazi yet. Victor we're good with. I can put Victor in the guinea pig pen and he's fine. He just sniffs. He looks around. If a guinea pig flips something or knocks a piece of cardboard hide around or something, he just kind of goes like he's a little taken aback by it. It's not like, ooh, something to eat. It's like, oh, what was that? Kind of. Took a nap and missed the live stream, but hello, Hyperbeam. Zero Cool Ninja 88 also joining in at the tail end here, saying what's good. Thank you both for joining in. You've missed the bug part of the stream. We're on to the dog part. But yeah, the neighbor's dogs, coyotes at the Future Place in Holly it's bad. It's bad. There's so many coyotes they have a right to exist. They are beautiful, majestic creatures, but I don't want them getting my animals is the bottom line. And the dogs are the best defense. The dogs are going to be so incredible, and it will force the coyotes to change their behavior without having to die, which is great. So many coyotes around Holly. Yeah, it's walking in the back pasture in the tall grass, ticks galore, dog ticks everywhere, and it's like they're either using coyotes, which we know there's tons of coyotes out there. Angela sees them, she hears them, there's scat, there's trails, or it's feral dogs or neighborhood dogs. Could be either or both, because we found dog scat at the back of the property too. But that won't be a problem. That will not be a problem at all. The livestock we have will be some of the safest on the planet. A grizzly bear could get into the backyard and the dogs would be able to chase it off. If I 2 gompers, not enough for a grizzly bear. That's not enough distraction. It's not enough noise. It's not enough confusion. There aren't grizzly bears in Michigan. I'm just saying, in the off chance. 3 gompers can manage a grizzly bear. I have no doubt about that. They can corral it, move it away, one move in for a nip, the other 2 keep barking, all that stuff. 3 gompers is more than enough to manage a grizzly bear. Not kill it. That's not going to happen. Livestock guardian dogs, they don't really do that to stuff. There has to be the difference in size is just too great. But they don't need to do that. They just need to tell the thing, get out of here. We don't want you here. And that's their main job. Satchel says, coyotes expand their range from human habitat alteration / predator removal, so they're not native and can be removed from the environment without concern. That's a spicy take, Satchel. Where'd that come from? Is that your personal feelings and research, or was that an official statement by somebody? Hyperbean says, I'm about to go collecting bugs tonight, and that's my number one concern. And then there's rattlesnakes. Walk around them. Hello, William Udesky. Yeah, rattlesnakes is a thing. One of our stream viewers was bit by a copperhead a month ago. Was a single fang bite, and didn't do anything too terrible to them. As I understand it, for copperheads, if you go to the hospital, they basically keep you alive. They don't usually do an antivenom. Satchel says, from my understanding, that's a scientific consensus. It's also a little with the coyote situation. The fact that there's a large component of wolf genetics in coyotes. So then you get into what I would argue, which is, well, wolves are gone, but there's a large genetic component of those in eastern coyotes. So they're kind of on the path, or already kind of filling that niche, sort of, in the eastern United States, where given enough time and enough selective pressure, you could get a reemergence of a more wolfy coyote in the eastern United States. So I would argue they are important in the eastern United States. I would argue that, and then also I would say, but if you got livestock, you need to protect them, and what better way than with livestock guardian dogs? It's really so easy. I mean, my Joe's house is like 4 houses down from mine. In the backwoods where I don't go, where there's a log laying over one of the fences, there's raccoon scat. So they're going through the back of my yard, just 50 feet away from the chicken coop, and yet no problems. They don't come here because the dogs pee, and that leaves a scent, and there's the droppings, and then there's the noise, and the dogs, something goes by back there and the dogs rush out to bark at it at night before I go to bed, then that thing says, oh, I don't want to go there. There's scary stuff there, and stays away. What kind of loudly hyper? I do that when I'm in questionable areas. They have always rattled before I was within 10 feet. Yeah, they did kind of a wonky study on rattlesnakes where they like touched them with like a fake boot, and like they didn't bite most of the time, even though we were stepped on like completely. But some people also point out that, well, the boot was like not warm, and rattlesnakes use heat to strike at things. So maybe if they had heated the leg, or maybe if they had a fellow wearing rattlesnake proof like under lower garments, they could have done the same thing, a little bit more realistic of a scenario, to gear up in some rattlesnake proof attire, and then go step on some rattlesnakes to see what the reactions are to seeing, instead of just a cold boot thing poking them, seeing like this whole creature stepping on them or near them. I don't know. But I almost stepped on I ended up seeing it because I was looking with a headlamp, but I got very close to a very large curled up rattlesnake in around El Paso. It was in a brush pile. I was walking around looking for millipedes or something, and then shining the headlamp next to me and saying, oh, that's a pretty pattern that's a big rattlesnake. That's what that is right there. Satchel says, you also get into the scientific debate on what exactly red wolves are/were, and what exact niche they held in the eastern U.S. Michigan is northern enough that you're gray wolf territory. That's funny. That's the Upper Peninsula has a fair population of wolves, and the Upper Northern Peninsula people, there's a lot of hearsay. There's a lot of mixed sign. I think the consensus is that they're present up there, but not very significantly in the Upper Southern Peninsula. But definitely in the Northern Peninsula, there's a good presence there. Not in the Lower Peninsula. It's all coyotes down here. And then you get into the next thing. This will be my last thing before I wrap up here, because I really do need to drink something. I don't think coyotes are big enough to predate on like deer, which is more wolf niche, right? There is some footage of eastern coyotes going after adult deer. They're not very good at taking them down, but they do go after them. And they do go after stuff like goats and sheep, like full-size goats and sheep. They will go after more so sheep, calves. They're a significant predator on deer fawns. I know that as well. Pretty significant predator in the eastern U.S. But again, if those coyotes that have the gumption enough to go after full-size white-tailed deer, if a couple of the bigger ones are successful and they have access to this very abundant, very easy to catch, very big and reliable food source, they're gonna slowly start to adapt to it and get larger. I think that's what happened with peregrine falcons too after they did their reintroduction, because they eat mostly pigeons in cities, and I think that's larger than their average wild prey. With air quotes wild, because the city is just a different type of wilderness. But anyways, I think they said peregrine falcons were getting larger over time because they have this large, easy prey item, and so it's kind of favoring the ones that are the biggest and most capable of taking down pigeons. So yeah, all it takes is a couple thousand years of something being a little better than some of its conspecifics at something to start the speciation process. Our Utah coyote feed on domesticated pets a lot. Yeah, cats. They'll take cats, no problem. They'll take small dogs, no problem, which is why I'm always concerned about my neighbor Karen and her two tiny dogs that are outside constantly. Honestly, I feel a red-tailed hawk could take the one dog super easily. Could take Abby. She's like maybe like 4 pounds, if that even. Like a red tail, that's a snack for a red-tailed hawk. That's like a large rabbit. So Hyperbean says, I'm hoping to collect some parka bladder this week. Any tips on keeping them alive? Mojave Desert parka bladder from Vegas. Sweet. That would be probably desserty. Dry and pretty warm is my recommendation if you do find desserty. I have some desserty that are coming up on maturing. Had a little bit of a dip in the colony, but I think they're going to be just fine if I get another generation. So anyways, everybody, I'm thirsty. I want to go get something to drink, and I still have some husbandry to wrap up tonight. I want to thank you all for joining me for what had started off a bit rocky with the 2-part stream, but ended up being an excellent longer stream. We will not have a live stream next week. There will not be a Roach Wiggle next week. I will be in Maryland for a wedding that weekend. So the next Roach Wiggle will be the 27th. I was going to say, is it the 4th of July already in 2 weeks? No, we got 3 weeks. The next Roach Wiggle will be June 27th. And then after that, it will be July 11th, because the 4th is the 4th of July. And I will hopefully be doing something for the 4th of July. Not sure what. So I will see everybody at the next Roach Wiggle on June 27th. Enjoy the summer, everybody. Go find some cool bugs. Find lots of cool bugs. Find some cool roaches. Do some cool stuff outside. Look at cool plants. Enjoy it. We made it, everybody. We're in summer, and be safe with the heat too. It's great for bugs, especially if it's high humidity, but still be careful. So until next time, everybody, may your cultures ever be bountiful. Have a delightful summer evening, everybody.